Happy Tuesday. I hope that everyone's morning started off great. I usually come around somewhere between 7:30 and 8, but today I'm like, okay, let me try something new. So we'll see if I'll stick with this time or go back to the original time. But a question had came up to me why I chose this side of travel. And one of the reasons the main reason, no, let me roll it back. So, one of the reasons why I even considered being a travel agent before I became a travel agent is because I went on my first cruise. And the experience that I had um, with that particular agent, though pleasant, professional, nice, it was a little different. Um, I had never been on a cruise before. So there was different things that I didn't know what the experience was going to be like. Um, and I don't know about you, but drop in the comments if you're doing something new, do you ever get curious about what other people felt like and how they did and all these other different things. And so um, with my cleaning business, I was in a networking group, and one of my colleagues in that networking group, every time you turn around, it was on a cruise ship somewhere. And so when I started talking to them, I started asking them questions like which, and they were just feeding me information. And I was like, well, how do you know so much? She said, well, my sister's a travel agent. And with my sister being a travel agent, she gave me some perks and incentives based upon that as well. And I was like, okay. And there was an experience towards the latter part of my booking before I actually set sail that I thought that I had gotten insurance, and I it turned out I didn't, and my travel agent was away. And with her being away, it was just difficult to get some additional questions answered. But when she came back, she did answer those questions, but unfortunately, it was too late. So when I called the cruise line, they gave me alternatives. And when they gave me alternatives, I took advantage of it. It was something in my shanana that said, hey, look, you need to get insurance. And I'm glad that I listened to myself. And I want y'all to remember that because I'm going to talk about why I'm so passionate about travel protection and travel insurance too. But what ended up happening, that sailing that I went on with my first cruise, the itinerary got changed for our protection. It got changed because there was a storm brewing in the direction that we were going in, and so therefore totally they totally stopped the the destination, the ports that we were supposed to go to, and I had insurance. And being the fact that I had insurance, the clause that I had with the insurance gave me something with interruption of the trip. And I filed a claim and I was compensated because of that. So it was one of those things. So at that point, I was like, well, they were nice, travel agent, they were cool, they were helpful to an extent. But all the extra work and all the extra research that I found out on my own, I might as well have did it myself. That was the first moment. I did not act upon it, but that's the way I felt. Um, so later on, y'all know my story. That those who don't, maybe one day I'll repeat it if you don't go back and look at a previous slide. But there became a situation where I needed to supplement my income. That's the short version. And somebody brought up the opportunity to be a travel agent, and then I took advantage of it. And so now I'm on the money making side of travel. And it was like a thought that came out in the past from experience now brought me till now I'm actually doing it. And one of the key things is I make every conscious attempt to not repeat an experience that I had with my clients. Some things are inevitable, but you know, when you know better, you do better. So now, here's the real topic of discussion is why I chose this side of travel. So you're probably thinking she's going to talk about be a travel agent. No, this part is strictly saying why do I like booking cruises? Why do I like booking activities and ticketed things like concerts and things of that nature? And why do I like booking travel protection? Well, when I became a travel agent, because we're in business by ourselves, but we have support. So we own our own business, but we have that support. Um, my success coach, mentor in the business, she was like, you know what? What do you like to do? What types of trips do you aspire to go more on? And that's what you gravitate to booking. And I was like, okay, food for thought. So my first experience and why I chose the cruise because I wanted to go on an all inclusive. I really did. I was like, I want to go to the Dominican Republic. I want to do this. I want to do that. And at the time, one of my cleaning clients, she was like, have you ever been to Dominican Republic? And I said, no. And she said, well, I got some advice for you. So I was clutching my pearls because I was like, what you mean you got some advice for me? And she was like, well, she said, I've done both. I've done cruise and I've done an all inclusive. And she gave me the pros and cons and based upon her experience. And I was just like, you don't know me. I clean your house. You don't know me. And the funny thing about it was she was so right. I went back home because I don't always I gotta verify. You could trust, but you gotta verify. So I went home and I started looking online. I said, oh, she was so right. Terry got expensive taste. I said, oh, these all inclusive. They're not. Because the ones I wanted to stay in, the other ones like, that won't me. But the ones I wanted to stay in, cha-ching, cha-ching, dollar sign. So I went and started looking at cruise lines, and I live in a port state, so I didn't have to pay for airfare and things of that nature. And I started looking at the price to Dominican Republic on a cruise, and I was like, yeah, that's a significant difference. And I'm bougie. I like nice things. But if I can get nice things on a budget, that makes it all better. How about y'all? So that's the way I felt about cruises. I can get all the bells and whistles, but the price tag is significantly lower than all the bells and whistles that I personally would do on land. And especially if I'm going on a solo trip, I really don't know how comfortable I'll be doing all the different activities on land um, that they offer at an all inclusive. So I'm like, I'm a little introvert, so I don't know if I want to mingle with all the other people. But on a cruise ship, there's so many different activities, so many different things to do. And to be honest, the people on the ship, they can't go nowhere. They're stuck on the ship. They can't go out in the big blue ocean. So they're a little bit extra friendly. They'll talk to you. The environment, the vibe is a little bit different. So for that, I was like, okay, cruises is my jam. And, the food, they have things called the chef tables on different cruises. We can get, like 4-course meals, that chef Ramsay type of thing. I'm a Food Network lover. So, you'll find me in the main dining room eating the cold chill soup and things of that nature. I think it's fun. And then they have different what they call elegant nights and different dress up nights and things like that, and they have all these photo opportunities, so it gets me to get in my head like I got paparazzi. So for me, I just love it. And on a customer satisfaction level, resorts and different things that happen, housekeeping, the just different things that, as me as an agent, now I can't always control those different things, and those clients can be empathetic and they understand if they're not happy, they're not happy. But I don't want to be tied to that, well, the resort type of thing. It's just a mental thing. But when it comes down to cruise ship, the most different thing is, well, I just don't like that ship anymore. Okay, well, let me find you another vessel. Or, let's try a different cruise line, because the kids are just pushing all the elevators. Okay, well, let's go with this cruise line. So for me, it's the biggest thing is, I just personally love cruises. So why not do, when you're in business for yourself, why not do what you love to do, right? So the question was, that was asked to me at one time, will you book land or uh, air? Like, yes, um, I would. I've done that for my repeat cruise clients, that they'll need a hotel stay or they need a train ticket or something like that. I don't turn them away. But I'm just saying, when you see me posting on my Facebook business page for my company, you'll see me post about a lot more things that I personally like. Yay, bells and whistles make me smile. That's more authentic to me. So that's one of the reasons. Now, the other thing is protection. I've seen and heard so many horror stories on the travel agent side by listening to my colleagues and their customers' experience when they weren't protected. Also, having friends, hi, Director Tiffany, having friends that have booked travel and they had situations. One of the stories that got me to really talk more about travel insurance was that in my business networking group, I had a colleague that went to travel, and they didn't go out of the country, they just went to another state down south. And when they did, they had a circumstance with the airline that one, their luggage was lost. And then two, they had a layover that caused them to be at the airport all day. And then when I had a chance to circle back to them, I was like, well, did you have insurance? And they were like, no, I didn't think about it. I always do this, my credit card, and it was all these other excuses. However, they did not have insurance. And I'm like, well, do you know that if you could have had insurance, depending on what coverage you had, you could have been compensated based upon your delay. You could have been compensated based upon your situation when it comes down to your luggage. There was so many different things. And one of the things that that person mentioned was like, well, I didn't book my trip with you. So I didn't think that I could come to you for travel insurance. And I was like, well, let me educate more, because the circumstances is that I don't have to book your travel to help you protect your travel. I mean, there are people out here who love to do their own thing, and I applaud you. I want you to do your own thing if you feel more comfortable with that. If you say, hey, I don't want to do hotels, I like Airbnb, and it's like, okay, great. Still, you need protection. I will do just your protection, your travel insurance. I have a vendor that I love that gives so many different options. I feel like I'm an insurance broker, you know, because I have so many different options when it comes down to giving you the protection that looks right for you. Another situation, I have a client who I love dearly. She's been my client for close to 3 years now. And she went on a bus tour with some family and friends, and they actually had an insurance package that they gave her, and she looked it over, and because she books trips with me all the time and she knows that I encourage her to protect it, she does protect it. She was like, wait a minute, this policy don't look like what Terry offers me. And she picked up the phone and she gave me a call and she was like, hey, I need you to do a comparison. And I did. And one of the key things that I noticed in what I offered her versus what she was going to get with the competitor was emergency protection, medical. The medical protection that she had with that third party was 4 digits. Mine was 5 digits. So we're looking at, maybe 5,000 to a comparison of 50,000. That's a big difference if emergency happens with medical. So of course, she was like, Terry, what do I need to do? The difference was minimum. I think it was like a $20 difference where it was in favor for the competitor versus me. But that $20 could mean up. I can't even put a words to if you have an emergency out on your trip and you hurt yourself. What is 5,000 going to do for you if you're on international water? It might not even pay for the medical transport. So in that regards, I just felt like I was glad that she remembered that she didn't have to book that tour, but she was able to get protected by something that I offered. So that's another reason why, because I don't want anybody to experience delay or experience a circumstance that they're not protected. And you never know. It's like car insurance. If you don't have it, then the day you cancel it or you miss the payment, unfortunately, is the day that somebody takes a shopping cart. See, I'm gonna think positive, not negative. Y'all thought it was gonna go real bad. Take a shopping cart and ding it, and now you need a new paint job. Okay, so anyway, the other thing, thank you, Leonie. The other thing that I like is activities and excursion. I told you guys I'm an introvert. And so I'm not going to go around looking and talking to the islanders or talking to people in that city and say, what do you think to do? Because stranger danger, I'm not going to do that. However, if having the access to vendors like I do that provide a whole plethora of activities through reputable tour guides and things of that nature, I can create an opportunity that someone could be able to do start and finish um, of activities. And I like it, and I don't even have to make those decisions for you. I'll give you a perfect example. Um, my daughter, for example, she wanted to go to St. Martin. And I was like, okay. She said, Ma, I don't know what to do. I said, I don't know what to do too. I ain't been there. So I went on my affiliate site. I curated activities for the date that she was going from start to finish, and I sent her the link. I said, I mean, if I pick out something, you're gonna be like, oh, you so old, I don't want to do what you want to do. Okay, well, I sent her the list, and she was able to pick out the things that she wanted. And she was able to utilize that list and did not need me. And I woke up and saw the email and said, oh, I guess, my daughter wanted to pick XYZ. So those are things that can happen. And no, I don't have to book your trip. No, I don't have to book your insurance. But if there's activities you want to do and you don't have any idea of where or how to look for them, I could be able to curate you some choices that you can choose from. Another example for that, I have a client who we were discussing their trip to Paris this winter. And we talked about lodging and things of that nature. And they came back to me and it was like, well, you know what? To be honest, they didn't even say anything about the lodging, come to think about it. But I sent them the link to the activities they could do in Paris. And I started getting emails of things that they already booked. Now, later on, they may come back to me for the lodging, or maybe they have made their own decision, but I've been able to satisfy their needs. So I came on here to say why this side of travel. And I flipped the script because the last few days I talked about how you can do what I do. But I really wanted to take the time to share why I love what I do and why I do what I do as for my clients. So if you're looking to book a cruise, book an activity, or need your trip protected, I'm your girl. Call me. I'll help you. Let me take you to your dream destination. I got you. See, y'all thought I was good. I didn't make it up. It's right behind me. So anyway, I've been talking. I hope y'all picked up some good jewels from this, and y'all know what today is. It's a day that you need to make phenomenal on purpose.